Welcome to Love Traps, the Dark Side of the Online Dating World. Read by Julia Bennett. A work by Gabriela Groupcyberofcriminal. With research by Blick and images. In a world where digital connections are becoming increasingly essential, the longing for love and affection is great for many people. But while we open our hearts to the vastness of the internet, dangers also lurk in the shadows. Cheating, sophisticated manipulation and emotional abuse, these are the dark sides of online dating that often remain hidden. Love Traps, the dark side of the online dating world, takes you on an exciting and terrifying journey through the world of romance scams. In this audiobook, stories of those affected come to life, of people like Oli T., who became involved in the machinations of fraudsters, and of the emotional and financial destruction that happened to them. Through interviews with experts and those affected, careful research by Gabriela Groupcyberofcriminal and reports from the magazine Blick, we dive into the mechanisms and tactics that fraudsters use to trick their victims. These stories are not just events, they are warnings that should concern us all. Learn about the contact points for help and support, such as the counselors Oli T.61-year-old and Hannelore, who are committed to the education and prevention of romance scams in Germany, Switzerland and Austria. They have the important task of helping potential victims and making pleas for a safer online dating culture. In addition, we will also get insights into scripts, videos and books by Gabriela Groupcyberofcriminal, all of which aim to inform the public about the dangers of online dating. Note, the story of Oli T., which is told in Chapter 9 of this audiobook, is based on real events and information from an article in the magazine Blick. The content in the other chapters, chapters 1 to 8 and 10, is fictitious and was invented to deal with and clarify the topic of romance scams. We thank you for your interest in this important issue and hope that the information is helpful in raising awareness and protecting potential victims. Another important element will be the visual material, which illustrates the facets of the scams and helps listeners to better understand what is happening. Are you ready to expose the dark side of the online dating world? Then join us on this journey and let's discover together the secrets and the truths hidden behind the pretty profile pictures and romantic words. Let's get started, the story starts now. Online romance scam, Aargauer loses 250,000 francs. A 61-year-old Aargauer, Oli T., is on the brink. After losing everything in an online romance scam, including his entire retirement plan, he is left with an account balance of 2,394.82 francs, enough to pay his rent. "I'm completely desperate," he reports in an interview with Blick. In search of affection. Oli T. was married to his wife for 40 years and has 2 children, but in 2021 they divorced. Loneliness drove him to look for a new love on an online platform in November 2023. He believed that he had found the longed-for partner in a French woman. Fate then took its course, says Oli T. In chats, the woman affectionately called him mon amour while he called her chérie. At the beginning of their communication, he quickly fell in love with this supposed love. Financial exploitation. However, the situation took a bitter turn when the woman told him that her mother was ill and that she urgently needed money. I then transferred some to her. Also for their own lives, he continues. Initially, his savings of several thousand francs disappeared. Believing in a future together, Oli T even took out a loan of 50,000 francs to help the woman. So he became more and more involved in the illusion of a relationship. I have always hoped and wished that we would be able to live together one day, he says. Under the pressure of financial obligations, he was not suspicious enough when he transferred all his money. The investigating police and reality. Despite the investigations of the police, the money is probably lost. I lost 250,000 francs to them, explains the shocked Aargauer. His case is a sad example of the dangers of online dating and the manipulative tactics that scammers employ. Oli T's story shows how vulnerable people can be in emotionally difficult times and how important it is to be careful when it comes to online relationships. Chapter 1: Introduction to Online Romance Scams. In today's digital world, where social media and online dating platforms are ubiquitous, the way people enter into romantic relationships has undergone a fundamental change. The internet offers countless opportunities to meet new people, but at the same time, it also carries a variety of risks, especially in the form of fraud. Online romance scams are an alarming phenomenon that is becoming increasingly common and can cause serious emotional and financial damage. What is online romance scam? Online romance scams refer to the fraudulent practice of deliberately manipulating people on online dating platforms or social media to obtain money or personal information from them. The scammers, often referred to as romance scammers, create fake identities and try to establish emotional contact with their victims. In doing so, they often use carefully crafted stories to gain trust and affection before making a financial connection. Frequency and impact. The number of cases of online romance scams has increased dramatically in recent years. According to reports from the police and consumer organizations, more people have been affected by these scams, both financially and emotionally. Many victims report enormous financial losses, as in the case of Oli T, who lost over 250,000 francs as a result of such fraud. But the financial losses are often only the tip of the iceberg. Emotional damage, such as loneliness, shame, and loss of trust in interpersonal relationships, have a profound impact on the lives of those affected. Psychological tactics of the scammers. Scammers employ a variety of psychological tactics to manipulate their victims. The most common methods include emotional attraction. They often give the impression that they are looking for a deep, serious relationship and form an emotional bond. Urgency and fear. Scammers create a sense of urgency through emergency situations to push their victims to make quick money transfers. Isolation. They often try to isolate their victims from friends and family in order to build trust in the relationship and increase pressure on the victims. Trustworthiness. The use of images and stories that underpin their credibility makes them appear attractive and trustworthy. The introduction to the topic of online romance scams is the first step in raising awareness of this dangerous practice. It is crucial to understand the mechanisms behind these scams to protect yourself and others. In the following chapters, we will take a closer look at the story of Oli T and his experience with an online romance scam to better understand the effects, dynamics, and prevention. Chapter 2: The Search for Love on the Internet. The search for love and emotional connection has changed significantly in the digital age. While traditional avenues such as face-to-face meetings, friends, family, and events used to lead to dating, modern technologies have opened up new ways to build romantic relationships. This chapter looks at the online dating platforms, the motivations of users, and the challenges associated with finding love on the internet. Online dating platforms. The development of the internet has led to the emergence of numerous online dating platforms. These offers vary widely in terms of audience, user interface, and features offered. Some of the most well-known platforms include general dating sites. Sites like Tinder, Bumble, and OkCupid cater to a wide audience, offering users the opportunity to find potential partners based on preferences, interests, and location. Reputable dating sites. Sites like Parship or Elite Partner are aimed at people who are looking for serious relationships and use extensive personality tests to suggest suitable partners. Niche dating platforms. These platforms cater to specific groups, such as people with certain beliefs or lifestyles, e.g., Christian dating sites or LGBTQ+ platforms. The variety of platforms enables users to search specifically for potential partners and tailor their own search to individual needs. Motivation of users for online dating. The reasons why people use online dating platforms are varied. Some of the most common motivations include loneliness and the need for connection, especially people who are emotionally hurt by separations or the loss of a partner look for comfort and affection on the internet. Convenience, the ability to choose and see potential partners from the comfort of your own home without having to physically go to events makes online dating appealing. Expansion of possibilities, online dating opens up the chance to meet people from different geographical regions or social circles that you might never meet in everyday life. Time saving, for many professionals, online dating offers the opportunity to find partners efficiently in a fast-paced world. Challenges and risks. Despite the benefits, there are also various challenges and risks that come with using online dating platforms. Fake identities, scammers often use fake profiles to specifically captivate people. These profiles can be equipped with attractive pictures and emotional stories to inspire confidence. Emotional distress, the search for a partner can be emotionally distressing, especially when experiences of rejection or misunderstandings occur. Security and privacy, there are risks associated with sharing personal information online. The security of users and how their data is used is often unclear. Manipulation, scammers are good at using emotional connections to build trust before exploiting their victims. Searching for love on the internet is a complex matter that involves both opportunities and risks. While online dating platforms offer a valuable way to meet new people, users should also be vigilant and careful not to fall into the trap of scammers. In the following chapters, we will shed light on Oli T.'s specific experiences to understand how these dynamics work in reality and how victims of fraud can find themselves in a dangerous situation. Chapter 3: Oli T.'s Life Story. In order to really understand the tragedy of Oli T.'s story, it is important to take a look at his life circumstances and his personal history. In this chapter, we will look at the key moments of his life that led to his decision to search for a new love on the internet. These backgrounds are crucial to understanding how he could fall into the trap of an online romance scam. Insight into the past. Oli T., a 61-year-old from Aargau, led a fulfilled life for many years. Born in the 1960s, he grew up in a stable family and developed an interest in relationships and family at an early age. He was married to his wife for 40 years and raised 2 children. During this time, he worked as a salesman and was active in professional life. The first years of marriage were marked by shared joy and the education of the children. Oli enjoyed family time and the responsibility of caring for his loved ones. But after decades of living together, the separation came as a shock in 2021. Divorce and its effects. The divorce represented a turning point in Oli T.'s life. He felt like he had lost an important part of his life. The separation not only led to an emotional shock, but also to considerable financial difficulties. With the loss of his partner, Oli felt lonely and vulnerable and had to deal with a new life situation. After the divorce, Oli was confronted with the reality of being alone. He missed togetherness and longed for a new, loving relationship. The search for company became an urgent need for him to fill the void left by the separation. Loneliness and the search for a new love. The loneliness after the divorce put emotional pressure on Oli and drove him to look for a new relationship. Hoping to find a new life partner and ease the emotional pain, Oli T. turned to an online dating platform in November 2023. This decision was marked by the hope of finding love again and filling his life with joy and affection again. Criminal acts are usually often the result of a misunderstanding of one's own needs and the realities of the internet. For Oli, this search for love became a danger. At this point, he was unaware of the potential fraud that awaited him, and he trudged full of hope into a world marked by manipulation and deception. Oli T.'s life story is an example of the challenges many people face when looking for a meaningful relationship. The effects of his divorce and loneliness led to a vulnerable position where he could easily become a victim of fraud. In the next chapter, we will explore how the online relationship with the French woman began and what steps Oli took to gain trust and build an emotional bond. It will become clear how quickly a harmless online dating experience can turn into a sophisticated scam. Chapter 4: The beginning of the online relationship. The start of an online relationship is often marked by hopes and expectations. For Oli T., the search for love after his divorce was a new and exciting challenge. This chapter sheds light on how the encounter with a supposed partner began on the internet, how the first conversations developed and what feelings were associated with them. We will also examine the signs of trust and affection that led to a deep emotional bond. The first contact. In November 2023, Oli T. decided to sign up on a dating platform. He was nervous and excited at the same time. The platform offered him the opportunity to meet new people and open his heart again. While scrolling through the profiles, he came across the profile of a woman who immediately appealed to him. She was an attractive French woman with a sympathetic smile and an appealing profile text. After the first exchange of messages, Oli realized that she had similar interests. In the chat, a casual conversation developed in which they talked about their hobbies, ideas about life and dreams. Her profile was carefully designed, and she also seemed to be looking for a serious relationship. It was the beginning of an exciting connection, and Oli felt flattered and understood. Building an emotional bond. The conversations between Oli and the woman intensified, and they began to contact each other regularly. They used the online platform as well as private messages to stay in touch. The woman affectionately called him mon amour, which triggered deep feelings in Oli. This loving interest helped him to escape loneliness and develop a sense of affection. As the weeks went by, they both realized that they could trust each other. Oli was attracted to the woman and believed they could actually build a future together. They shared personal stories, including memories of their past, dreams for the future, and their values. This intimate communication created an illusion of closeness, even though they had never met in person. Signs of trust. As the relationship progressed, Oli received supportive and empathetic messages from the woman. He saw it as a constant source of joy that would help him heal the scars of the past. The regular conversations and emotional exchange strengthened his confidence, so he began to talk openly about his financial problems. This basis of trust was cleverly used by the woman. She knew how to draw Oli into the emotional spell and give him the feeling that he was not alone. At the same time, she cleverly clarified that she was dependent on him to overcome her supposed difficulties. The beginning of Oli T.'s online relationship was marked by hope, affection, and a deep need for connection. The emotional depth and trust he invested in the woman are typical features that fraudsters use to get close to their victims. While Oli plunged into the illusion of a loving relationship, he had no idea that he was involved in a carefully planned scam. In the next chapter, we'll take a closer look at the emotional manipulations that led to Oli eventually transferring money for the woman. Chapter 5: Emotional Manipulation. Emotional manipulation is a crucial tool that scammers use to put their victims in a vulnerable position. In this chapter, we will take an in-depth look at the methods the woman used to manipulate Oli T. Through clever tactics, she created an environment of trust that allowed her to target Oli's emotion-based reactions and thus realize her fraudulent intentions. Building an emotional connection. The basis of manipulation often lies in building an emotional connection. At this stage of the relationship, the woman began to share information about her life and feelings with Oli T. She talked about her wishes, fears and dreams, which left Oli with the impression of a deep, authentic connection. By sharing personal stories and creating a "we" feeling, she fostered a symbiosis where Oli felt responsible and felt the urge to help her. This emotional dependence was reinforced by the constant exchange of affection and reinforcement. The use of urgency and grief. As the relationship was established, the woman deftly switched to a more dramatic narrative. She began to tell Oli that her mother was seriously ill and that she urgently needed money to cover the high treatment costs. This type of emotional pressure is a common strategy used by scammers. Oli felt touched by her emergency situation and wanted to help her. The strong compulsion to act as a hero during this critical time led him to willingly transfer money, simply out of the need to alleviate their supposed worries. "I can't help you if I don't have anything," she said in one of her chats, which further increased the pressure on Oli. Manipulation of feelings and guilt. The woman also cleverly played with Oli's feelings of guilt. When he hesitated to send her money, she created a sense of fear by suggesting that he would turn his back not only on her, but also on her sick mother. This opinion led to an inner conflict in Oli, which led him to act against his better instincts. In addition, she used positive reinforcement. Whenever Oli transferred her money, she thanked him effusively and assured him that this would only strengthen her love for him. This confirmation strengthened Oli's willingness to send more money and made him believe that his financial commitment was necessary to maintain the relationship. The effects of manipulation. The emotional manipulation had led to a point where Oli T. increasingly invested in the relationship. The compulsion to commit financially was accompanied by a deep desire for recognition and a real relationship. This dynamic allowed the fraudster to go beyond Oli's borders and claim all of his savings and loans. The emotional manipulation that happened to Oli T. is a classic example of how fraudsters can put their victims in a position of vulnerability. By simulating love and support, they created a bonding relationship that blinded the victim to the fraudulent intentions. In the following chapters, we will examine how the situation for Oli further deteriorated and how he finally transferred the entire amount of 250,000 francs to the fraudster. Chapter 6: Financial Exploitation. In the context of an online romance scam, emotional manipulation often inevitably leads to financial exploitation of the victim. This is also the case with Oli T., whose trust and affection were exploited in a way that put him in a catastrophic financial situation. In this chapter, we will look at the steps that led to Oli's financial exploitation and the consequences that followed. First, money transfers. At first, Oli T. was still reluctant when the woman told him about her family's financial difficulties. Nevertheless, the pressure she built up could not be denied. "I know I can trust you," she said. "If I can't help you, who can?" This statement strengthened Oli's desire to strengthen the relationship by demonstrating his willingness to help. The first money transfer was relatively small. It was a matter of several hundred francs that Oli took from his savings. The positive feedback from the woman made Oli feel valued and believed that his support was necessary to maintain the relationship. "I am so grateful for your help," she wrote, awakening in him the feeling of making an important contribution. The disappearance of savings. With each new request for financial support, Oli's willingness to transfer ever larger sums increased. The woman kept telling him stories about her mother's health problems and the desperate financial hardship she was in. These dramatic stories conveyed the message that Oli was the only hope for them. "All my savings have been used up," she once confessed, which triggered alarming reactions from him. "I will help you, I can't let you suffer every day." These irrational considerations led to Oli eventually raising all his savings, and the relatively small amounts quickly increased to higher sums. Taking out a loan. When Oli's savings were used up, he saw no way out except to take out a loan. Despite all the warnings inside him, the desire to help the woman and maintain the relationship was overpowering. He carefully considered the decision to take out a loan of 50,000 francs and decided to transfer this amount to her. "This decision could change our lives," the Aargau native thought at the moment. The hope that a repayment for their future way of life together would be a matter of course drove him on. The downward trend. By this time, Oli T. was already so deeply entangled in the emotional vortex that he had completely lost track of his finances. The constant transfers led him to invest not only his savings, but also a significant amount of the money destined for his future and retirement provision, believing that their love and affection would eventually give him security. The woman was then able to tell Oli in any way she needed the money, whether it was for medical bills or unexpected expenses. It became increasingly clear that his money was not the key to solving her problems, but rather a tool with which she exploited him. The financial exploitation of Oli T. is a revealing example of how fraudsters create a fragile emotional environment in order to systematically exploit their victim. Through targeted addressing in combination with skillful manipulation, the woman managed to capitalize on Oli's helpfulness and trust. The next chapters will delve into the shocking developments when the reality of the fraud finally came to light and Oli realized the full implications of his decisions. Chapter 7: The Evolution of the Scam. The development of the scam used against Oli T. shows how sophisticated and systematic the approach of online fraudsters is. In this chapter, we will analyze the typical patterns and strategies that led to Oli falling into the trap, as well as the mechanisms that allow fraudsters to manipulate and control their victims over a longer period of time. Typical scenarios and excuses. In the course of his interactions with the woman, the excuses she presented became more and more complex and multifaceted. At first, she reported on her mother's serious illness, but as the financial support became more and more extensive, she resorted to various stories to get Oli to send him money. Common scenarios included sudden medical emergencies. These shocking situations were cleverly orchestrated to get quick payments, often coupled with dramatic narratives of terrible news and the statement that time was of the essence. Unexpected travel expenses. The woman often explained that she urgently needed to travel to be with her family due to her mother's illness. This posed additional financial burdens that tempted Oli to send him money to make their trip possible. Need for gifts or remittances for special occasions. On special occasions, such as birthdays or holidays, she often asked Oli to send gifts or money to show her love. This not only strengthened the financial connection, but also the emotional dependence. Understanding the scammer's strategy. The scammers pursue a deliberate strategy that spans 3 phases. Building a relationship. In this first stage, scammers give the impression that they are looking for a serious relationship. They use emotional language, show interest in the life goals of their victims and create an illusionary closeness. Building dependency. In the second phase, the imposter begins to create emotional dependence in the context of personal tragedies and dramatic stories. They use the understanding and affection they have previously created to appeal about their hardships and give victims a sense of obligation. Financial exploitation. In the final stage, the scammers demand money under various pretexts. Constantly requesting additional funds becomes the norm, often with the promise that repayment will be made soon, keeping the victim's hope alive. The importance of trust in the fraud process. Oli T. was an example of how trust is turned into a weapon. His desire for an emotional connection blinded him to the risks and the possibility of deception. Reinforced by the feeling of affection and loneliness, he was willing to invest large amounts of money to maintain the illusion of a happy relationship. The role of isolation. Scammers often work subtly to isolate their victims. They urge people to have face-to-face conversations in private to minimize communication with friends or family members. This isolation reinforces the feeling of dependence and secrecy. This prevents the victims from getting support from their social environment that could warn them about the fraudsters. The development of the scam against Oli T. shows how complex and well thought out the strategies of online fraudsters can be. By building emotional connections, pushing their victims into dependency, and using deliberate excuses, scammers create a dangerous environment where trust becomes a weapon. In the next chapter, we will see how the situation for Oli T. came to a head and he was finally confronted with the bitter reality of cheating. Chapter 8, Confronting the Truth. In this chapter, we shed light on the decisive moment when Oli T. was confronted with the shocking reality that he had been the victim of a fraudulent scheme. This turning point was an emotional and psychological shock for him that would change his life forever. We will consider the signs that pointed to the scam as well as the impact on Oli's psychosocial wellness. The first doubt. Although Oli T. was initially firmly convinced that he was in a real relationship, over time the first doubts began to germinate. At first, there were small inconsistencies in the woman's stories. Occasionally there were contradictions in her stories about her family or her financial problems. Sometimes she was late with her answers to messages, which unsettled Oli and raised questions. Some of her excuses seemed increasingly implausible to him. The constant requests for money for ever new emergencies made him wonder. Most recently came the alleged trip to her sick mother, where she suddenly asked for help because her money was running out and she could not cover the medical costs. The insight. The alarm bells finally rang when Oli began to investigate the woman on his own. He thought about her profile, her origin, and that of her stated story. This distrust led him to use online search engines and even social media to find more information about them. But everything he found was incomplete and far too well thought out. A faint ray of light fell on another dimension of cheating when Oli read on a forum that several people had had similar experiences. They had met women who had used the same stories with frightening regularity. The clear realization that he was not the only one who had placed his trust in a supposed love hit him like a blow. The emotional setback. The moment of realization brought with it a flood of emotions. First, there was the shock and outrage at the fact that the woman who seemed so close to him had actually cheated on him. Anger arose, both at the deceiver and at himself for the gullibility he had experienced. Oli felt overwhelmed by grief and shame. Questions tormented him. How could I be so naive? Where had my common sense gone? He felt a deep shame that prevented him from talking to other people about this humiliating experience. The fear of being judged for his decisions protected him from seeking help from friends or family members. The decision to act. As soon as Oli noticed the first cracks in the foundation of his relationship, he knew he had to do something. But the process was agonizing. It took weeks for him to muster the courage to confront the truth and admit that he had been betrayed for months. After gathering the information about the scammer, he realized that he didn't want to be paralyzed. Through internet research, he came into contact with organizations and forums that dealt with online fraud. The exchange with other victims not only helped him to better understand what had happened to him, but also gave him a kind of perspective and the comfort of not being alone. As part of this support, the desire to take action and protect others from similar experiences was awakened. The confrontation with the truth was for Oli T. a drastic moment that called into question both his identity and his ideas of financial security. The realization that he had been the victim of a well-thought-out scam led to emotional chaos, but ultimately also to the determination to fight for himself and his money. In the next chapter, we'll explore the steps he took to recover from this experience and how he tried to regain financial and emotional control of his life at the same time. Chapter 9, The Path to Reappraisal. After Oli T. was confronted with the shocking truth, a lengthy and emotionally challenging process of coming to terms with and healing began. In this chapter, we will look at the steps Oli took to process the effects of the betrayal, stabilize emotionally, and learn from this stressful experience. The pursuit of justice and the restoration of his financial status are also addressed. Emotional healing. Emotional healing was the first and most important step for Oli T. His grief, anger, and shame had to be processed. To deal with this, he sought professional help in the form of psychological counseling. The therapist helped him articulate his emotions and look at events from a more objective angle. Therapy sessions gave Oli the space to talk about his feelings and process the painful experiences. It became clear to him that the fault did not lie with him alone. The therapist repeatedly warns that such scams can affect people from all walks of life and that what happened to him did not question his values or judgment. Establishment of a support network. To stabilize his emotional health, Oli also recognized the importance of a strong social network. Spending time with friends and family became an important healing process for him. He began to speak more openly about his experiences, which helped him overcome the shame he felt at first. To his relief, he found that many friends understood his situation and were willing to stand by him. In addition, he joined an online group for fraud victims. By sharing with other people who had had similar experiences, he felt less isolated and encouraged to move forward. The solidarity within this community helped him to draw hope and find perspectives for the future. Financial consequences and the search for justice. Since the financial exploitation affected a significant part of Oli's savings and also a loan, regaining his financial stability was crucial. First, he consulted financial advisors to see which legal services could help him assert his claims. He also decided to file a complaint with the police. This decision was not an easy one, as he knew that the fraud often takes on international dimensions and that he may never receive compensation. Nevertheless, he did not want to stand idly by while other people could fall into similar traps. It was important for him to report what had happened in order to help others and prevent anyone from getting into a similar situation again. Education and prevention. In order to learn from his experience, Oli began to deal more intensively with the topic of online fraud. He researched various fraud patterns and participated in workshops and seminars focused on online fraud protection. By sharing his knowledge with others, for example in forums and social media, he wanted to sensitize people and make them aware of the dangers of online dating. He also published an article in a local journal about his experiences, hoping that other people could learn from his mistakes. Oli used his story as a learning tool to warn others about the dangers of emotional and financial scams. It was important for him to emphasize that it is important to be cautious and skeptical in order to protect yourself. For Oli T. A combination of emotional healing, social support, and the pursuit of justice. He learned that it is important not to be guided by shame or guilt, but to actively take steps to restore one's life. This journey not only helped him manage his grief, but also gave him the motivation to raise awareness of fraud risks and give others a voice. In the next chapter, we will look at long-term learning and the changes Oli T. made in his life to be better prepared for the future. Chapter 10: Long-term changes and lessons. After Oli T. had processed the emotional and financial challenges of his fraud, it was time to turn the experiences into lasting change. This chapter sheds light on how Oli refocused his life to include both personal growth and hygiene and prevention measures. These lessons not only helped him, but also others to act more confidently in the digital world. Reflection and personal growth. Oli T. realized that the experience of the fraud had shaken him awake not only as a victim, but also as a person. He began to think deeply about his own choices and motivations. What had made him so susceptible to manipulation? What needs was he looking for in the online relationship? This reflection led to a deeper understanding of his emotional needs and the messages he was looking for in relationships. He made it clear that his loneliness and the urge for affection had put him in a vulnerable position. With this insight, Oli decided to work on his self-esteem and actively work on developing healthy relationships. Build healthy relationships. The scam opened Oli's eyes to the importance of healthy relationships. He learned to set boundaries and listen to his intuition. In the months following the betrayal, he began to be more open in social situations, whether with friends or new acquaintances. He also decided to learn various communication and relationship skills, including active listening techniques and empathy. He attended workshops that focused on relational dynamic skills and encouraged others to continue their education as well. These new skills helped him build authentic and supportive relationships and feel a little safer on social networks. Developing a prevention strategy. Oli knew that knowledge means power. To ensure that he and others do not fall into similar traps, he developed a personal prevention strategy that included these aspects. Education about types of fraud. He began to regularly share articles and postings on social media platforms about the most common scams. The goal was to educate others about the risks of online dating and identify potential warning signs. Communication and support. Oli encouraged people to share their thoughts and concerns about online encounters. Through open conversations, he created a safe environment in which others could dare to seek help or share their experiences. Reflection and caution. He set himself the goal of being more critical in every relationship, whether online or offline. This also included regularly thinking about what information he disclosed at the beginning of a relationship and how much trust he was willing to give. Engaging in the community. To turn his experiences into a positive contribution to the community, Oli got involved in local organizations that dealt with fraud prevention and education. He gave lectures at schools and community centers to help younger people understand the risks of online dating and better protect themselves. As part of his initiative, he worked with other engagement and support groups to create a comprehensive guide to safe online encounters, which was distributed in public libraries and online forums. Working with professionals specializing in online safety and mental health expanded the impact of his efforts. The long-term changes and lessons learned from Oli T.'s experience show that crises and challenges can also provide opportunities for personal growth and compassion. The scam he suffered became a catalyst for positive changes in his life and motivation to warn others about the dangers of online dating. Oli became not only a political and social advocate for online safety, but also a person who encouraged others to set their own boundaries and prioritize their emotional health. In the final chapter, we will summarize the key takeaways and reflect on what this story teaches about human experience and the pursuit of connection. Thank you for taking the time to listen to and watch Love Traps: The Dark Side of the Online Dating World. We hope that the stories and information have helped you gain a better understanding of the dangers of romance scams and that you are inspired to stay vigilant. If you enjoyed this audiobook and our content, we would be very happy if you subscribe to our channel. This way you always stay informed. There are still many exciting topics and other scams waiting for you. Please support us by sharing this video with your friends and acquaintances and drawing attention to the importance of prevention. Every thumbs up and every comment helps us reach more people and raise awareness of these important issues. Stay informed, take care of yourself, and remember, together we can help make the online world safer. Thank you for listening and see you next time.